Originally from Silver Spring, Maryland, please welcome member of Knesset, Rabbi Dov Lipman.
I want to begin by thanking the organizers of this wonderful event. Before I go to my written words, I actually feel very at home in this Federation event. A few decades ago, I was a little kid running around on Super Sunday grabbing cards. And now, as a member of Knesset, I'm actually able to see the remarkable, remarkable difference that all of those donations and that all of those projects make. And I must say that this past summer in particular, seeing the missions that came, the projects, the programs, the packages, being on the front lines and seeing what a difference it made to the soldiers, I stand here tonight on behalf of the Knesset, but more importantly, on behalf of the people of Israel, to look at all of you, and from the bottom of our hearts, we say thank you. The title of the conference, and for my words tonight, is The Power of Women. Having grown up as an only son with 3 sisters, and now a father to 3 wonderful daughters, I understand the power of women. Looking back at our history, and the rabbi just mentioned, Miriam the prophetess, Dvorah the judge, Esther the queen, the list goes on and on. Jewish history has proven time and time again that women not only can serve in leadership positions, but women must serve as our leaders. I am proud to serve in the 19th Knesset, the Knesset with the highest number of female members in Israel's history. And even more proud to be a Knesset member from the Yesh Atid party, a party in which 8 out of the top 16 candidates were women, and it's an honor to serve alongside them every single day. I want to actually highlight, we have in the audience 2 members of Knesset. Tamar, can you stand up for a moment? Member of Knesset, Tamar Zandberg. I have the privilege of working alongside Tamar on projects helping the environment, on protecting animal abuse in Israel, and she's one of the spirits in the Knesset making a real difference. And also member of Knesset, Yifat Kariv. Yifat, please stand up. Yifat is a bulldozer, passion, making changes. She actually wrote legislation which can internationally make a change in protecting the rights of women and especially young girls on the internet. And just a personal word, I sit next to Yifat in the Knesset plenary, and she just inspires all of us. So it's a wonderful honor to be here with them tonight as well. Since entering the Knesset, we have been hard at work furthering the advancement of women in Israel and empowering women to be an integral part of the country's leadership. We passed a law providing financial incentives for parties to include women on their candidate list in municipal elections. We required the inclusion of women on the committees that choose both secular and religious judges. We legislated that women can serve for the first time in leadership positions on the local regional councils. We've also passed a series of laws related to women's rights. This coming session, God willing, I authored a law which hopefully will become law. One of the greatest tragedies that I found in my year and a half in the Knesset has been the plight of the agunot, women who are chained to their husbands. And I heard that there are men who are sitting in jail for not giving their wives a get, and they sit in what's called the Torah section of the jail, where they wake up every morning, they pray, and they study as if they are in yeshiva. And our law, which has the support of the coalition, says if you refuse to give your wife a get, you are not entitled to call yourself a religious Jew, and you sit with every other criminal in jail. We still have a long way to go, but we're certainly headed in the right direction. And I want to be very clear. I stand before you today not just as a member of Knesset, but also as an Orthodox rabbi. And there is nothing in our tradition which goes against all these positive changes. The opposite is true. As we move forward with this important agenda, we have to be vigilant of extremist voices and powers which seek to drag us to the complete opposite direction. In my hometown of Beit Shemesh, we have experienced the degradation of women in its lowest and scariest form. These began with signs demanding that women must dress modestly. My political career actually began when those signs appeared, and I couldn't take it. And I would go out at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning with spray paint to spray paint over the signs. That began to be very expensive because spray paint costs a lot more than I realized. But then I had a very creative idea. The signs said, "It is forbidden to walk here in clothing deemed immodest." So I started holding back on the spray paint and just spray painted on the last 2 words. And then the signs read, "It's forbidden to walk here in clothing." The signs stopped appearing very quickly. But on a serious note, it then spread to verbal, even physical attacks against women who were just jogging or biking in the streets. Women were asked, including my own daughter, to move to the back of buses. And it reached its climax when young girls were verbally assaulted on their way to and from school. I want to be clear, the extremists who cause these problems are a very small minority. But as one of the people who not only witnessed all of this firsthand, but led the battle against them, they can have a devastating impact. We must be vigilant to combat any appearance of this dark ideology, and I believe the most effective response is to continue pushing the advancement of women and empowering women to serve in leadership roles. There are endless examples of women who are, Israeli women in particular, who have become leaders and are changing Israel and changing the world. I actually want to take just a moment to focus on this past summer. I look back at what we experienced this past summer and I ask myself, how did we get through this? How did we get through such a devastating and tragic summer? And the answer, as it's been, according to our sages, in every single difficult moment in Jewish history, is women. And I particularly point my finger towards 3 women, Racheli Frankel, Bat Galim Shire, and Iris Yifrach. Women whose sons, teenage sons, were just standing on the street doing what all of our children do and getting a ride to and from somewhere in Israel, and could have easily been plunged into a political battle or reclusive in their own suffering. And yet these 3 magnificent women literally lifted all of Israel on their shoulders. They carried us on their backs. They somehow maintained this balance between their own personal suffering and recognizing that they had a national mission to carry out. And I just think about one moment. We had this wonderful rally, inspiring rally in Tel Aviv. I was so nervous that no one would come. In Kikar Rabin, in Rabin Square in Tel Aviv, that's where when the peace camp comes out en masse, it's filled. When the Greater Israel camp comes out en masse, it's filled. When Maccabi Tel Aviv wins the European Cup, it's filled. And they called this rally on behalf of these boys. I was so nervous that no one would come. And yes, it was filled from Israelis from all backgrounds who, again, were uplifted by these wonderful women. But behind stage, right before the rally started, Iris Yifrach, I was there with the health minister, Yael German. She turned to the health minister and she said, "It was very hot outside today. Do you think the captors gave my son water so that he's hydrated?" At that moment, I saw the Jewish mother who already at that point knew that chances are that we weren't going to have a positive ending to that story. And yet she asked that question, and then 20 minutes later was on stage inspiring the nation. Unity, courage, sense of purpose, they led the Jewish people, and that carried out throughout the rest of Operation Protective Edge. There are endless examples of women who have risen up and are making a real change. I have no doubt that as we work towards further advancement of women in Israel and create an atmosphere which encourages women to raise their voices, put their ideas into action, speak out about their ideologies, that Israel and the broader Jewish community will become a shining example to the rest of the world regarding the impact which women can and must have as we strive for tikkun olam, making the world a better place. I want to thank all of you, women from around the country, who have demonstrated the impact that women can make. Federations across the country are effecting the most positive changes we've heard so much tonight, both here and in Israel. And all of you have made that possible. Miriam, Devorah, Esther, Yifat, Tamar, Racheli, Bat Galim, Iris, and all of you, Lions of Judah. The chain of Jewish women who have made their impact on the world and continue to do so is alive and well. And I want to just end with one small anecdote. Let no one ever tell you that our goal of creating women leaders and women changing the world is just a dream. Throughout my time in the Knesset, people tell me that my vision for unity and a Judaism and Israel where all Jews can feel at home is just a dream. In Hebrew, they say, stam chalom. When they say it's stam chalom, it's just a dream, first of all, we're already accomplishing it. We're already doing it. But when they say it's stam chalom, I think about something that happened 30 years ago. 30 years ago, I was a young 13-year-old teenager in Silver Spring, and we went a few times a year to demonstrate on behalf of Soviet Jewry. I'm sure every single person in this room played a role in that unbelievable effort, which made a difference. And one of those times, we used to sing Am Yisrael Chai, we would chant 1, 2, 3, 4, open up the iron door. But one of those times, we stood there and we held signs. It was a cold winter Washington day, and I stood there holding my sign like a good kid. And I read my sign. On my sign, it said, "Free Yuli Edelstein." You want to talk about dreams? 30 years later, I'm blessed to sit as a member of the Israeli Knesset, and Yuli Edelstein is the Speaker of the Knesset. We are blessed to live in the most magnificent of times, and we can never forget that. And part of the magnificence of the time that we live in is that women have emerged and are taking leadership positions both here and in Israel. And I want to end by wishing all of you, a Shana Tova, a sweet new year. May God bless all of you with continued success and continue following our dreams to make the world a better place, and have a wonderful, inspiring, and successful conference. Thank you so much.